Good morning. Welcome to the Windsor Star News Cafe. I'm Don McArthur here with Dylan Kristy and our special guest, Aldo DiCarlo.
Hi.
Welcome. He's running for mayor of Amherstburg. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And Amherstburg, it's my hometown, just to get this out of the way right now, but what are you hearing at the door? I think we might know the answer.
All good news. Hearing all good news. You know, you don't want to get too ahead of yourself, but so far so good.
Okay, but money must be on top of everybody's minds, or?
That is the number one issues at the door are money and flooding.
Okay.
Yeah, that's you know, that's about it. Especially in my area, which is Richmond Street. So just off of Richmond Street is where you've had that last big pile of flooding going on. So there's a lot of people in that area pretty upset about it.
So, do you have a plan to get kind of Amherstburg back on a financially responsible track, or how do you see?
Jeez. Okay, so here's my answer to the residents who ask. It's kind of hard to answer that being on the outside of town council, right? They've got a better background on what's really going on. So the first goal is to get in there, find out what's really going on, and honestly, share it with the residents. One of the biggest issues I've heard also is transparency, right? Or lack of it.
Yeah.
So they want to know exactly what's going on. I think we all do. And so as soon as I find out, I'm going to make sure everybody does. And from there, you know, we're going to sit down with everyone we have to and try and figure out how to get out of this mess.
So now you're a union president at the University of Windsor for 11 years now.
That's right.
On your website, you say that experience will help you manage the accounts, get the town back on track. And just talk to that, how your experience, because you don't really have any political experience yet.
Well,
right?
Well, that depends on your perspective of unions. It's about as political as
Well, that's true too.
any political arena, I think. But I'm not currently president. I was for 11 years, finished a couple years ago. My biggest background experience would be the Board of Governors from the university. A lot of people don't appreciate the equivalencies between the two. If anyone ever goes, they'll notice that a Board of Governors meeting is no different than a town council meeting. Yeah. City council meeting, it runs the same way, same rules. And universities are also public institutions, just like a town or a city. So it's everyone's money. It's not private business. And in that venue, you know, I learned budgets, you know, government funding, debentures, capital projects, anything and everything that a town would go through, but on a much bigger scale.
Excellent.
Okay, I was at the debate the other night at the Verity Club. You had the misfortune a couple of times of following Marty Adler.
Yeah.
Man, that guy can work a room, you know.
He sure can.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to be in an elevator with him, but boy, he can. He's great in front of a crowd. And you said you drew the short straw.
Yes.
Following him, I drew some laughs. But he sort of took a shot at you, I thought, in his final summation. So he said that if you became mayor of Amherstburg, you're still going to work at the University of Windsor. Is that true? And if it is true, you know, how can you dedicate full-time, you know, commitment to the town when you're working somewhere else?
That's a good question, and one I get a lot. I mean, I plan on staying at the university. Just whether, you know, whether people like it or not, Amherstburg, as well as all the other municipalities, except for Windsor, is all part-time. And in that respect, you know, like you couldn't afford to be mayor unless you were retired. So unless the residents want to start limiting our candidates to retirees or the independently wealthy, you know, there's not much you can do about that. But a lot of people forget when Mayor Hearst started, he was full-time at Ford, and you work it out, right? Most jobs are somewhat flexible in that regard, and so if I have to be somewhere, I'll take a vacation day. I'll do what I got to do. You got nighttime. I mean, you know, I'm not working in an environment where I can't return phone calls, that sort of thing. And then the other thing I think people need to appreciate is that the mayor isn't really supposed to do everything. You know, you've got a deputy mayor and you got 5 councilors. You know, for the people looking at the money aspect, they're all getting paid to do something, so they should be doing it. And as far as rewards go, you know, in the political arena and election time, you know, everybody should be out there cutting ribbons and, you know, meeting the public. So I think if you spread the work around, it's not going to be as busy as people think it is.
Sure, and it might solve some of the sort of communication problems.
Well, absolutely. You know, everyone has to get in there and be able to operate. Every councillor was elected the same as the mayor is, and they should have that accountability. They should have the workload, and they should have the information they need to get back to the residents.
Okay. I know John Michelli is starting today as CAO, formerly of Windsor. He was at the debate the other night. He watches Trail Talk. Thanks, John. But a question came up in the debate as to whether or not Amherstburg should have waited to hire the new CAO. And I think you said we probably should have waited. This is no slight against John, but just that it should be the new council that picks him.
Yeah, I actually said both. Originally, I did back up the original decision for the old council to hire him because we were all of the understanding that the old CEO, Mr. Phipps, was gone, right? He said, I'm leaving, I'm going to be done as soon as possible, and so the new CEO needs to be hired. And in that respect, having been on the Vice President Finance Administration hiring committee for the university, like, I learned that is a long process, right? To get the right person at that level, you don't just have a week's worth of interviews and you're done. And in that respect, I thought, sure, the old council should do it so that the new council coming in is, you know, hits the ground running, ready to go. But then after he was hired, we've got all these, I don't know if you want to call them rumors or possibly facts at this point, you know, that he doesn't seem to really be going anywhere. And in that respect, why'd we do it then? If he's going to hang around, we could have just had the new council do it. So I guess it depends when he leaves. If he leaves soon enough, then absolutely the old council should have done it. If he hangs around for a while, well, then we could have new council could have done it.
Okay. I guess it's hard to have sort of big dreams for Amherstburg now that cost a lot of money and this and that, given the financial situation. But you have talked about Duffy's, you know, and
yeah,
it's closed. That's a huge signature location right in the heart of town.
Yep.
Can we address that now, or do we have to wait?
Ooh, I'd like to think we can address everything now in that we can't wait to work on things. I guess the question is, what does address mean? It's something that I think we shouldn't let sit for too many years, because that's how you run into problems, right? Then things start to fall apart, and then it's even harder to get investors and that sort of thing. We don't have the money to do it as a town right now. But, you know, who's to say we couldn't have some kind of tax incentives or something for a company who may be interested in buying it and doing something with it. The biggest issue is going to be stabilizing our financial situation at this point. And that's what I've told most residents who've asked, you know, what's your platform? And I say, honestly, like, it's a 4-year term. It sounds like a long time. But with what we owe, it's going to take a while to get back on track. And, you know, if I can look back in 4 years, if I get the job and we're in good standing, then, you know, I think that would be quite a bit. Okay.
Front page story today by Julie Coates on Sandwich Street.
Yes.
You know, and they're repaving it. A lot of people are up in arms about it. What do you think about Sandwich Street?
Ooh, I personally, you know, not just as a candidate running, but I'm a lifelong resident of Amherstburg, so, you know, I remember, for example, we'll bring it up. I remember when Texas Road got its first coat of pavement. I was a kid with, you know, the big banana seat and the high bar and the big handlebars, and, you know, when those trucks came through and it got paved, that was just like heaven. But now you ride on it, and it's worse now than it was when it was just stone. And then you look to Sandwich Street, and then I got out to Sandwich Street, started talking to the businesses, and I think the biggest, you know, not to use the word crime, but, you know, in general terms, is they didn't ask the business owners about what was going to happen with the parking. And so the trucks came through, the businesses found out, and then all of a sudden they stopped everything, had a conversation with them, but by the time it was done, I was told by the businesses, they said, well, there's nothing we can do about it. We've got to continue or we'll be sued. So the biggest issue, I think, with Sandwich Street, beyond the fact that maybe they should have done some streets that have been slated a lot longer ago to get done, is the business people there who are going to lose the parking with no, you know, no conversation, no input, no debate, no anything. I think it's just wrong. And most people I've spoken to said Sandwich could have waited. You know, yeah, it was getting a bit congested, but it wasn't dire. You know, we're not Toronto. It's Amherstburg, and that was the stats that they were giving us. Is, oh, it's going to be an accident and you're going to get sued. The town's going to get sued. But then we get the reports and we find out, well, that was in comparison to, I think it was Shepherd or something like that in Toronto. It's, you know, it seems more like they were trying to make a case for what they did after they did it.
Okay. And then on Essex Power, you've been pretty clear, don't sell.
Oh, I mean, right now it's making money. Any entity that's making money for the town, we need as many things as possible that are going to give us returns. If we start losing money on it one day, we'll have to take another look at it. You know, is it a short-term loss? Is it a long-term loss? And then we can look at it. But at this point, I don't understand why they even had the conversation. 12 million, yeah, they wouldn't say what they were going to do with it. But even if they did dump it into our debt, what do you do next year then? All right, because that was, you know, that's one of the few things we've got with money coming in.
Yeah, the gift that keeps on giving.
Exactly. So next year, then we're down to what, 30 million, but now you've got nothing for input except taxes, and the taxes are going to shoot up. That was a short-term gain, long-term pain issue, I think.
Okay. Well, my question for every Amherstburg mayoral candidate: it's a tough job to take over once you get the job. You're not going to make friends. You're probably going to make enemies along the way.
Yeah.
Why did you want to actually run for Amherstburg mayor, and why should people vote for you?
For the people who've asked, it's something I have thought about for quite a while. But I'm only going on 47. I say that now because I'm going on 47. You know, 10 years ago that looked like
the
it.
election.
Yeah.
Is your birthday?
That's right. That's right.
Excellent.
So yeah, if you want to give me a birthday present, just vote for me. Yeah, I had thought about it for a while, and friends and family had said, you know, it's you're a talker, you're a politician, you know, you're good with people, you should consider it. And I was going to go the traditional route, council, mayor, that kind of thing. But I looked at where we were with our council and who was running, and you know, I wouldn't be genuine if I didn't say I didn't think they could do the job, because if I did, I wouldn't be here. And so in that respect, I looked at my background. You know, I appreciate there has to be some experience involved. I haven't been on council before, but I truly believe my experience is transferable. And more so, the experience we do have on council hasn't translated into anything positive for the town. That looked at the whole big picture, and I said, I can do this. And so I had a conversation with a lot of people, with my family first, of course, because it's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah.
Everybody was on board, and here we are.
Excellent.
Okay, anything else?
I think that's
Yeah,
it.
I think that's perfect.
Vote Aldo.
Okay, vote Aldo. Thank you very much for joining us here in the Windsor Star News Cafe.
Thank you.